Okay, my name is Vasco Castro, as Mina introduced me. I'm working at the Potentialpark. You have seen the names Intl Park all around you. You saw some booklets. You will hear Bjorn and Vanessa talking a little bit about social media and Intl Park. But I'm actually working at Potentialpark, which is the sister company of Intl Park. What we do is that we do research on what is it that students want to have when applying online and when looking for a job. By the way, if you have any question that you really feel that is urgent, feel free to ask me during the presentation. Just raise your hand and shoot the question. I will talk a little bit about two things. One, about job seekers meeting employers, and two, I will talk about applying online and loving it. And I will give you some tips about how can you make the application process smoother. But before actually I start, I wonder if you actually ever thought about the process of applying online. I guess most of you have applied for a job online, and how did that feel? Did it suck? Chances are you probably thought it was slow. You had probably found some errors. You didn't understand why you uploaded your CV and why you had to fill in your information again. Application didn't really make much sense, did it? So I will show you what job seekers think, what employers are doing, and how to be able to deal with employers. So if I would ask you, about the way that you would prefer to apply online, I would find out that most of you want to actually apply online via email. Makes sense, doesn't it? Have you thought about why? It's simple, it's fast. You send the basics, you send your CV, you send a cover letter, you are off. But then have you thought about how it feels for the companies to receive these applications? They would get a massive amount of emails. They would get everything extremely unorganized. And the worst for you, actually, is the fact that your application after that position would be closed, your application would be lost. So if they would need to look into new candidates again, they would not look into you. So there is an advantage not only for the employer, but also for you to actually apply online. So what we see is that only 24% of employers actually accept email applications, and there is actually a star there. It's actually not even completely true. Most positions, in order to apply for most positions, you actually do need to use an online application. So these are actually just special cases. And just as an extra, if you are actually applying for countries where online applications are not well developed, you'll probably be able to apply online, or you'll be able to apply via email. And in fact, you will probably even be able to apply by regular mail. So you print your letter, you put a stamp, you ship it. But that's not really the case that's happening, of what's happening in Europe. Okay? So this monster comes up. It's called online applications. Monster not only for you, but also for employers. For employers also, because they understand that it is important to make application systems that are nice to use, that the user, you, when you are looking for a job, that the user will be able to apply and not think that this was a pain to apply for this job. So when you see another job, you'll not think, again, it's a pain applying, maybe I will not, or even worse, that they actually lose candidates through the online application. But actually, there is something extra to this story. I heard from an employer that, actually from a German employer, that it's actually great that it takes time, and it's a pain to actually apply for a job, because then they will just get the applicants that care about the job. But that's not really the complete story. So, what are top employers doing? What are job seekers doing? What do job seekers want? What do top employers actually do? So the email application I've talked about, the online application, that's how it looks like. Almost every employer in Europe has an online application, and we are talking about top employers. But it's not really what job seekers would like to have. So why is it so? As I talked to you before, reasons are obvious. Why do you have to upload the CV and then fill in the information? It is a waste of time. More, you have extra questions that you don't really need. Why are you making me so many questions why are you asking me about my driving license if I'm supposed to sit at a computer all day? And also, where is the human feeling? Is the human touch lost? I don't contact anymore with the employer. So these are typical questions that come up. And actually, I put this graphic not only because now I'm a KTH and I'm allowed to show data and graphics, but because it's interesting to follow the trends. If you look at data, you can see that applications by email are not as preferred this year as they were last year. And the reason is because people are seeing advantage. Job seekers are seeing advantages with applying online. And you can see that job seekers now, 64% of job seekers prefer to apply via companies' own website. There are two reasons for this. One of them is because online applications are now better than they used to be, and second, applicants are used to these kind of systems. But I think there is a third point that is extremely important to notice. Extremely important not only for the online application perspective, but rather for actually getting a job and how you feel about applying for a job, which is the third part, that is in person. At the same time that online applications are becoming more common, you see that people feel like applying more in person. And the reason is online applications lead to a loss of contact to the recruiting team. So we'll talk a little bit about getting in touch with them again. But there is also, I don't know if there are many French people in this room, but the last, there are a couple, but the last point in this graphic is actually quite mostly interesting for French people, that they still like to apply via regular email. So the application process is impersonal, and the application process is time-consuming. I'll show another graphic. One thing with being impersonal, do you know how we would be able to so nowadays you have everyone filling forms. You are hardly able to show yourself at your best. If you just have to put your CV, what you have done, and nothing else, no one will see who you really are. And you can do this if you are allowed to write a cover letter, for example. If you are allowed to write a cover letter and paste it into an online application, you can show who you are. You can show your personality. But there is another thing that has to do with design. If you are allowed to also upload your documents, you'll be able to influence the recruiting team, and in another way that is not possible with regular online applications. So I would suggest that if you ever see that, and that's the reason why 83% of students would prefer to apply online. So I would suggest that every time that you are allowed to upload documents, to actually do so. Two things to notice: students want to upload PDF and documents, and they want to upload big files. But what do job seekers allow? One thing is what you would like to do. The other completely different world is what is it that you can do. And yes, it's true. In many companies, you can upload your own documents. And in many cases, you can upload a PDF file or a Word document. But I would recommend you to, this data shows that you should always have a PDF file and a Word document ready. Don't, especially for the people actually using a Mac like me, you usually will not, many times you will not edit anything in Word. So keep in mind that you will need to upload some documents in Word format. And the other thing is that files should never really be larger than 500 kilobytes. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, you are going to waste your time fixing file formats and file sizes. But this doesn't solve really this problem. What about uploading the CV and filling in exactly the same information again? It's time-consuming, isn't it? It's annoying and upsetting. I see some heads shaking. There is a solution for this. It's called LinkedIn. You have heard about it. It's nothing new. What many companies are now starting to do is to allow you to apply via LinkedIn. So you can log in using your LinkedIn profile. You can upload your CV using your LinkedIn profile. And you will save lots of time doing this. So one recommendation is keep your LinkedIn profile updated. It will help you a lot. So this is an example used in Netflix. You can, if you want, many of you have probably heard about this company. It's an American company to rent DVDs, and they are one of the first doing this. And the second example is a little bit more interesting. I don't know how many of you have heard about Taleo. Maybe not. When you start applying for big companies, you will notice a small symbol in the bottom. It's going to say Taleo. And what Taleo is doing now is that they have created a universal profile, meaning that you can use this profile exactly like in LinkedIn to apply for jobs in multiple companies without the need of filling your information, your data again, your street address, your name, your date of birth, and so on. So you can actually have exactly the same system as you'd have in LinkedIn. There is, though, one extra thing with this. By the way, you can, if you want to use this universal profile, you actually should go, I didn't write the name, but you actually should go to something called Talent Exchange. So if you type talentexchange.com, you'll get to this place where you can register your CV in a similar way to LinkedIn. But it gives you an extra piece of information. And it's because Taleo is actually working with many big companies, many top employers, the CV that you are putting there is going to be automatically available to all of them. So don't take me as someone, as a Taleo evangelist, but this is a quite cool thing to have, and it's something that will save you a lot of time. So I think that's the last thing that I would like to say. Keep in mind that online applications are getting better, but if you follow these recommendations, things will get much easier for you. Thank you. Okay, Yafin is asking if you actually put your information into one of these universal profiles, that you will not be able to adapt it from company to company, right? I mean, you can always, after apply for one job, you can always adapt. It's going to be time-consuming, but the advantage, one of the advantages, that the standard things that you typically have to rewrite all the time, those are already written. For example, your date of birth, I don't think that you are going to have to rewrite that again. So, and for example, if you have taken a degree at KTH, I guess you will probably not delete that from your CV. So there are many things that you can keep the same, and then you can just update. And for example, if you want to update cover letter, for example, that you should definitely, depending on if the employer allows you or not. So one of the two big advantages here are that you save time in the standard part of it, and the second thing is that you will be able to be seen by many companies. But you are completely correct. When you apply for two different jobs, you should try to adapt your CV to the company that you are applying for.